I hate to have to start this way today after the Thanksgiving holiday, but if you're watching on YouTube at least, wait, please don't hit the dislike button just yet. Consider watching this video first before you do that. I am here to talk about the unfortunate reality that a national Medicare for all is not happening anytime soon, and I'll explain why. And I'm not here as an opponent of Medicare for all. I'm not someone who wants it to fail. I'm an advocate of Medicare for all, but I'm also an advocate of being realistic with you if we want to make things happen. And the reality is that without me attacking Medicare for all, without me attacking the concept of Medicare for all, I recognize that national Medicare for all isn't happening anytime soon. I'm not here to say we should advocate for centrist policies that are more realistic. That we should advocate for the policies we think are the right ones, and the right progressive policy is Medicare for all. But I'm not here to tell you unrealistic things like if Bernie gets elected, we'll have Medicare for all in 4 years. We won't, and I'll explain why in a second. Our politicians do enough of the unrealistic stuff. I'm here to discuss the realities, and I'm here to tell you today that because national Medicare for all simply isn't happening anytime soon, even if the next president supports it, we need to be smart. So let's go through this piece by piece, and once we're done, rather than, calling me a shill or whatever, tell me where you think I'm wrong on the reasoning, because that's really what this is about. It's about talking about the facts and reality. Number one, I've already talked about some of the areas of concern around Medicare for all plans, but that's not really what this segment is about. Yes, I've talked before about how most of the plans for how to pay for Medicare for all are unrealistically optimistic about how much healthcare spending per person will go down if we switch to Medicare for all. In reality, it could take 10 or even 20 years to see those cost reductions. I've talked about that before. That's not what I'm talking about today. There are political considerations. Even if Democrats take the Senate in 2020, which would be by the slimmest of margins, as I've outlined for you before, it's not going to be enough to pass Medicare for all. Because number one, even if Democrats do take the Senate by a few seats in 2020, you need 60 votes in order to pass something like Medicare for all, which Democrats are not going to have after this upcoming election. And not all Democrats even support Medicare for all in the Senate. You can then look at 2022, but then if you're only starting the conversation, then again, you still need 60 votes in the Senate to pass this. It's a question mark whether Democrats could even get a 60 vote majority in 2022. And of course, the alternative would be get rid of that 60 vote requirement. You can do that with a 1-seat majority, but even Bernie Sanders has hesitated to say we should get rid of that 60 vote requirement because it could massively backfire if Republicans take control again, when Republicans take control again. So that's a serious political obstacle. Doesn't matter whether Bernie's president or Warren's president or whoever. It's just a real obstacle. And then imagine that you solve that problem. You have some bigger issues to deal with. We have a conservative Supreme Court. We are going to have a conservative Supreme Court for some time. Why does that matter? When we talk about Medicare for all, two different reasons. Number one, if you don't make private insurance illegal, as some want to do, it significantly hurts the financial viability of Medicare for all. Making private insurance illegal would be almost impossible under the current Supreme Court or any Supreme Court that's like it. It will be fought endlessly by moneyed interests up to the Supreme Court. This is not a Supreme Court that will say private insurance is now illegal. It's just not going to happen. And that is something that will hurt the financial viability of Medicare for all and realistically will make it not happen politically. Issue number two, you aren't going to be able to force doctors to accept Medicare for all. Many doctors will choose to accept private insurance because, again, it's not going to be illegal. And you will see more of a move to what's called self-pay. We already see self-pay more and more in the mental health field. We see it in dentistry because dental insurance is terrible in the United States. We could spend much longer on this Supreme Court issue. But again, there is no way that a Supreme Court that is even remotely like the one we have right now would rule doctors have to accept Medicare for all. That will be a major problem for the financial viability of Medicare for all, but it won't even get to that because it is not going to be something that you will get 60 votes in the Senate for under these parameters. So what I want to talk about is not that I think Medicare for all is bad. I think it's good. I like it. I do see it as a drastic and maybe the best improvement over the system that we have. I don't want to suggest to you that it doesn't matter if a candidate supports Medicare for all. It does. We should support candidates who see Medicare for all as the gold standard and who see it as the goal. But you and I have to be realistic that it's not happening anytime soon. So before we even talk about candidates, let's talk about what could happen. Number one, it's important to get some wins that demonstrate that conceptually Medicare for all or something like it would work. These include, and this is so lame, I'm almost like going to throw up in my mouth a little bit saying it. We need to support some version of a public option as an eventual point that we get to. I said during Obamacare, Barack Obama should have started the negotiation for Medicare for all so that at minimum we end up with a strong public option. We didn't. He started with the public option and we ended up with just a massive handout of tens of millions of new customers to for-profit insurance companies. I know it's so lame and milquetoast to talk about a public option. And as I said before, all the public option will do is estimates say it'll reduce the cost of private insurance by 7 to 9% because of its impact on the market. But if we end up with the best possible version of a public option, ideally it will work well because it will be properly set up and funded. We can then point to it and say, look, that was an improvement. Let's keep going to the next step. That's number one, but that's not all. Number two, it might be possible to make a change to the Medicare eligibility age, which won't totally rock the boat. Like, for example, lowering the age to 60 or maybe to 58. This is actually step one in some people's plans for Medicare for all. Elizabeth Warren, for example, has talked about let's lower the eligibility age, better said, in steps. And that might actually be a viable first step. There would probably have to be some kind of trade, though, because, again, even many Democrats in the Senate don't support Medicare for all. That's not going to change in 2020, and it's unlikely to change in 2022. Third, and this is to me the most exciting, what about state single payer? Vermont wanted to do this, but it ended up failing for a variety of reasons that we could explore in a different segment. If Medicare for all succeeds at the state level, a serious conversation about national Medicare for all would hopefully be able to start. Obamacare mirrored years later in many ways the Romney Care system that started here in Massachusetts. It falls way short of being what we want. But the point is state level success can actually push nationally implementing some of these policies. So please don't kill the messenger. This is not me attacking Medicare for all. I like Medicare for all. I want Medicare for all. This is the reality. So that doesn't mean that we now say, hey, you know what? If either way, the best we can get is a public option or lowering the eligibility age for Medicare a few years, you might as well vote for Joe Biden. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that there are a lot of people out there, and they're emailing me regularly, who seem to be making arguments and decisions based on the idea that if Bernie wins, we get Medicare for all in 4 years. That if Warren wins, for the people that believe she's for Medicare for all, and she does seem to be, then we get it within 4 years. We just don't. And I'm not being defeatist. Let's strategize around what we can do. Let's make it happen. And if you disagree with me, tell me where I'm wrong on the facts, not that I'm a shill or whatever. I want Medicare for all, but I need to be realistic about how we get there. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft, and it's free. There's no catch whatsoever. But if you want, Privacy also offers a $10 a month plan that gives you 1% cash back and lets you create 36 credit cards a month, and a $25 a month plan tailored more for small businesses where you can create 60 card numbers a month and much more. But definitely go ahead and at least get started with the free plan. You'll protect your financial info. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.